Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. This time we're talking about the week of December 5th, 2022. So we're headed toward the end of 2022. We've talked about Taurus a bit, and we talked about it just last week, and Mars there. And I told you, I warned you then, we might talk about it again this weekend. For sure we will, because we got a big event coming up here on December 7th. So remember that, let's look at Taurus first. And remember that Mars is retrograding. It's in retrograde motion in Taurus, which means it's moving east against the background. It's moving west against the background stars. Normal prograde motion would be to the east. So the V of the Hyades is here. So let's start there. Bright orange-red Aldebaran, very bright, not as bright as Mars, not as red as Mars. So an interesting contrast here to compare Aldebaran to Mars. Aldebaran, the eye of the bull. So we have Arabic for the eye of the bull, and that forms the tip of the V of the Hyades here. The other brightest stars, Gamma, is, so this is the tip of a V. The tip of the point right here is Gamma Taurus, and then you got Theta and Delta in between here, and Epsilon marking the tip of the other point of the V. So let's see, we might as well practice identifying those stars while we're out here looking at this. So that's our V of the Hyades: Gamma, Theta, Delta, Epsilon, and Aldebaran, Alpha, the big bright star. We continue this branch on up and we hit Zeta out here. Last week we looked at Zeta and said that M1, the Crab Nebula, supernova remnant, is right there. So we talked about the supernova remnant there. The whole of the Hyades is about 4 degrees in extent, about half of your fist at arm's length like this. And if you take the top branch and extend it on out, Mars is about right for this week. Mars is going to be very close to the extension of that line. And you end up at El Nath up this direction. And El Nath is, that would come from Al Nath, Arabic, the butting one, I think is what Alan would say that is. So that's part of the horn of the bull right there. If we draw, Al Nath is the beta star in Taurus, so it's the second brightest star behind Aldebaran. If we draw a line from Aldebaran up to El Nath, Mars is going to be just to the west of that line right now, sort of on the extension of the upper horn, the upper V extension of the Hyades there. And it's about 7 degrees, about a fist and a half at arm's length from Zeta to El Nath up that direction. So that gives you a sense of scale. Gets dark right now. Taurus is already in the sky, beautiful in the east, southeast, climbing in there. Worth going out and taking a look at it. Now what's going to happen is on the evening of the 7th, the evening for me of the 7th, in very Western Europe this would be the morning of the 8th, Wednesday the 7th, the moon is going to come scooting through here. We warned you last week that it would. From my vantage point, and for many people in the United States, so for the United States, not the eastern seaboard and not the southeastern United States, but most of the rest of the United States, the moon's actually going to occult Mars. It's actually going to pass right in front and blot Mars out. This doesn't happen very often. Remember, we talk about the solar system. We've talked about this several times lately. The solar system has a flattened plate, but not a perfectly flattened plate. So if this is the orbit of the Earth around the sun, everything else is tilted just a little bit. All the other orbits are tilted just a little bit relative to that, so that we don't get these kinds of blockings all the time. But right now, it means that the moon is right in line, right in the path, the flat plane of the sun and the Earth, and Mars is there too, right at this moment where we can draw the flat plane of this board. The moon's going to go sliding right through here and blot Mars out. So that's on the 7th. The moon, we'll draw it this way. The moon's going to go crashing right in there on December 7th. For me, that occultation is going to start about 9 p.m. That'll be a little bit different. It'll be almost right at 9 p.m. for me. And it'll be a little bit different for everybody depending on where you are. So see if you can find that information online for you, or sometime. It's not going to be, it'll be different. If you're in a different time zone, it'll certainly be different. But even within a time zone, it's not going to be hugely different, but enough different you don't want to miss it. So for myself, I'll probably be out if it's clear, and I hope it's clear, because this is not something that happens all the time. I'll be out at 8:45 to make sure I don't miss this thing happening, if not earlier. And we can watch the moon moving in, moving in, moving in, moving in. That evening, as it gets dark, on that evening, go outside and see where the moon is relative to Mars and keep tabs on it and just watch it get closer and closer and closer and make sure you don't miss it. It'll be about an hour for me. It depends where you are relative to this alignment. The closer you are to that line where it doesn't occur, the shorter it'll be. But for me, the moon's going to slide across there about an hour later, about 10 o'clock my time. Mars is going to reappear on the other side of the moon. The moon will be over here. So this is great to check out and great to watch. So try not to miss that. Hopefully you have clear skies on the 7th. Now the moon is basically full that night. Really, really close to full. And since it's really close to full, that means Mars is really close to opposition. That is to say, the full moon occurs when it's directly in line with the sun and the earth. You can draw a line right through them. But that means since Mars is also in that position, right? Mars is right there where the moon is, so you can draw that line and extend it. It's not exactly perfect, but it's really close. You can draw that line and extend it from the sun to the earth to the moon to Mars like that to get that sort of perfect alignment to allow this to occur. The fact that Mars is right on that line, we say it's at opposition, which means it's on the meridian. It's on the north-south line at midnight, real midnight, true midnight. It's on the north-south line, and so that means everything's got this alignment. Now, if we're orbiting this direction, Mars is orbiting that direction, the moon's orbiting us that direction, everything's orbiting that direction. What that means is we are orbiting faster than Mars, and our angular speed is even faster because we have we have a smaller orbit, we have a smaller distance. Let's say it that way. That's a better way to say it. Is we have a smaller distance to cover in an orbit, so we cover a larger fraction of our orbit in a given linear distance that we travel across here. Boy, I'm confusing you with that, but that's okay. To say that this is the fact that we are catching up and passing Mars, we're going faster this way than Mars is going this way, is what makes Mars appear to move that direction to us, and that's what makes it in retrograde. So right now, in this alignment, it's in retrograde motion really quickly. So if you want to go out and check to watch Mars move this direction relative to that line, for example, from Aldebaran up to Alnath, or the upper extension of the V of the Hyades, Mars is going to be moving that direction over the next couple of weeks, and you'll be doing so really quickly because of this alignment. That we're moving away from it. It's appearing to move backwards about as fast as it ever does right now because of this alignment. So we can get a sense of that alignment. I want to think about one more plane and one more alignment. We've talked about the plane of our galaxy. If this is the Milky Way galaxy, this is our galaxy, about 100,000 light years across here, and we're about 26,000 light years from the center. And we orbit the galaxy every 235 million years or so. So we're in here doing an orbit. If we take this and we flip it up and we look at it from the top, there's the center of the galaxy, you know, and the galaxy looks something like that. This is taking quite a bit of artistic license here. But we're here, and we're orbiting every 235 million years, 250 million years to get all the way around, something like that, around the center. So we're orbiting around the center. The center is down here in Sagittarius, and in the summertime we like to talk about that. So it's like we're sitting on a merry-go-round and we're looking toward the center in Sagittarius. That's the direction to Sagittarius. The anti-center of the galaxy is in Auriga, and Alnath is sitting right on the Auriga Taurus line. In fact, I often think of the image, the outline, the asterism of Auriga as being a sort of upside-down house with Capella up here. I've had to scrunch that a little bit to get it on the board, but with Capella up here, an upside-down house, and the tip of the roof of the house would be Alnath. So in my mind, when I'm picturing Auriga's asterism, I'm including Alnath in there. And in ancient catalogs, Alnath would have been included in Auriga at times. So it's really sitting right on the Auriga Taurus border here. Where we draw the hard constellation lines right now, there's no doubt about it, it is part of Taurus. But in terms of the pattern of stars, it feels to me when I look at it that it belongs a little bit more to Auriga, and you can see it in that sort of upside-down house of Auriga. But the point there is, this anti-center of the galaxy, out this direction, directly away from the center of the galaxy, is in Auriga. And El Nath is the star that's closest to that point, the bright star, not the star. There's lots of stars in that region. But the bright stars, the stars you can walk out and see easily with your naked eye. So, whoa, there's a nice star. That's the bright star that is closest to the galactic anticenter out here. So when we're out here, we're watching the moon, occult Mars, and we're thinking about the geometry of the solar system, and we're thinking about the motion of the planets and the moon and the solar system and enjoying all of that. We can also be thinking about our orbit around the center of the galaxy, and we can appreciate and looking at Al-Nath and realize that we're standing there looking with our backs are turned to the center of the galaxy, and we're looking directly away from the center of the galaxy. So we have a lot of geometry to think about as we're enjoying just the beauty of the night sky this week. It's a great week. I hope you have clear skies all week long. I hope, well, if you need rain, I hope you get rain at some point in there. But I hope you have clear skies on December 7th for a chance to be able to see this occultation and get out and appreciate the stars of Taurus and think about the geometry and think about various orbits, us orbiting the sun, whole solar system orbiting the center of the galaxy, and so on. As always, everyone, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great week. We'll have something new and different for you next week, or new and more of the same. We just seem to keep talking about Taurus, and it's beautiful. Why not?